Hello everybody, my name is Jakub and today we will have workshop about Revit inside of virtual reality. In the first part of the workshop we will have conceptual modeling inside of virtual reality in collaboration, and then we will transfer this concept to Revit. In Revit we will do some fast BIM modeling and then we will transfer this back to virtual reality. In second part of the workshop it will get a bit more interesting. We will dive deep inside of editing BIM model inside of virtual reality and transferring these changes to Revit. And from Revit back to virtual reality, so we'll go from one environment to another. So let's get to it.
Okay, so after installation, you will be able to open this launcher and you have option to enter your login, password, and then you just simply log in and launch. It will give you two options: launch desktop version and launch VR version. We are focused on VR mostly, so let's get this way in this workshop. In Revit, you can find, after successful installation, our add-in on the top panel. It's basically a banner like this, then you just log in like you did in Launcher. It will give you option to select space. So we will select in this case Wearrecho space, and when everything is successful you will see this information and basically text in blue color. Okay, in get and send there will be nothing yet, so let's get to it. Let's close this add-in for a while. Let's get back to our VR and let's jump to our scene. It says server connection established because we are on cloud, so everything is cloud stored. You can get and access your projects like everywhere where you have internet connections. So we will open menu, we will select our space, and we will select our project like this. You can switch to autosaves, and you can switch to your milestones like I just did for this project, because it's saved in the form I wanted to open it always. So I downloaded pretty quickly, it was just a couple of seconds, and here I am in the scene. So let's take a look at our project. I will make myself a bit bigger. With teleporting above yourself, it will increase your size by 500%. And I will open scene settings like this, and then I have like another notification that my colleague Vladimir just joined to the session. Here he is on project 0. Hello. Yeah. He's also making himself a bit bigger, so you can check the villa from the bird eye perspective. And what I did just now is that I hid in Revit model, and what we see is like 3D sketch what we did. It was like the first sketch we did for this project, and then we transferred this sketch to Revit. Again, I will switch back Revit. So this is the final model, final Revit we just seen like a while ago in Revit, and its exact location. We are right now in Prague, and we are looking at Strahov, and there is like Old Town in the distance. There is like Prague Castle behind this hill, but it's not visible from this. And this is the powerful option to design in environment like this. So what we will do right now is we will go back to Revit. We get live session in get and send, and we have our live session what we just opened. And now we have two options. We can receive sketch, so I just click on it. And what it will do, it will receive the 3D sketch we did in platform. So let's take a look at it and let's isolate this category so we will see it properly. And this is it. Do you remember the 3D model I just showed you a few moments ago with the white one in the scene? So it's basically this one. It's 3D sketch like you would do with drawing. Let's get back to Revit. Let's take a look again, and this is it. This is the 3D sketch we just seen in Revit. And let's start with some architecture concept. For this workshop we won't be making like project from the beginnings because it will take some time, but let's start editing the project what we already have, and let's continue in our design. So in this case, we wanted to make this garage, this place a bit bigger, and let's create this window also a bit bigger like this, and let's create window opening like this. Perfect. Nice. So more stuff can fit here. And let's take these assets and let's move them also a bit, just like that. A bit more like this. Perfect. Okay. So let's go back to the courtyard. And over here, let's switch to this regime. We call it persona, like persona for editing. And the reason for it is, let's divide this surface. So you can see there is intersection, right? If I get closer, it will be smaller, so I can make some more delicate modeling. If I get like behind, I can make it bigger. So let's switch to realistic persona, and as you can see, I don't see the intersection, but it's there. You see, when I select, I can see dimensions, I can see that it's there. So when I move, I can move it. I see like dimensions that change. It's over there. So that's the main reason of the editing persona, so you can see intersections. It's better for conceptual modeling, and we will use that very soon. Okay, let's start with another concept. I will select curve builder on my left controller, and let's start creating some curve. It will be really nice for this space to have some shading. So let's create one curve. Let's create second curve, just like this, point by point. You always press trigger to make another edit point. And let's create some last curve, because you need 3 curves to create a curved surface. So, like this. Okay, when I am happy with my curves, I will just deselect. You can learn how to deselect in our tutorials. And now I will select surface builder, and it says select start curve. So I will select one curve, I will select finish curve, and I will select edit curve. With these 3, it creates curved surface. And let's get back to one-to-one, because I prefer to look at it from this point of view. And all our interface is made for one-to-one workflow. Let's turn off the axis, so we have freeform. And we can move these points very smoothly from the person perspective. So you are creating spaces out of spaces in virtual reality. This is really powerful tool. It's not like you create something and then you just, take a look at it in 3D, in VR, but you create there. Everything you do, you can do from one-to-one perspective, and that's such powerful tool for that. For architecture to really fill the spaces before they even exist. Okay, so we have some curved surface, right? And you can take like the whole line, for example, not only editing points, and as you can see, I'm moving and you can see the shadows. That's the reason we are designing this, right? And that's another aspect, the shadows, because we have exact geoposition. Let's get back to Revit. And again, we have scene selected and click on Receive Sketch from Wearrecho. It's processing and it's there. It took just a while, just few milliseconds, but it's already here. And let's take a closer look at it. And it's there. So if I'm like Revit drafter, I can start drawing some shape, some curve, some shading in this place. Okay, let's isolate category again so we can take a look again at our 3D sketch. It looks really nice, especially with the new added, shading in our terrace. It looks really cool and dynamic in this rectangular, mostly rectangular shape. And now we can edit our model to it, right? So for example, in this part, we increased this garage, so I can see 3D sketch. And if I'm drafter, I know what I should do. So I should make it like this by, for example, 1500 millimeters. It looks kind of okay, but we need to move these two columns too. And our 3D sketch, it's like, it's like sketch how the space should be bigger. And you are not focusing on walls and stuff in VR, you are focusing on it in Revit, and you make it parametric in Revit, right? That's what Revit is used for. And when we are talking about shading, let's take a look at one more thing, right? Because it's also connected with Revit. And let's create some shape. The shape can be like this. And I want to show you the shading in this, and shadows, and like geolocation. So when I'm creating something, I can see like how it will be used in my scenario, because I know where sun is, because we have exact geoposition, and at this time we have like 1500. So let's go on this upper terrace. So yeah, we have like month June and time is like 1500. When I take a project, I can see that the location is Prague, Czech Republic, and you can add manually or you can take it from Revit when you are syncing. So let's move time for example 7 p.m. like this, and minutes for more delicate moving. And you can see a very beautiful sunset above Prague, and it's really fascinating in virtual reality, especially when you create something directly here or transfer here and you can play with the settings. The sky is dynamic, so for example, let's make it a bit cloudy and let's move time like more quickly so you can see how clouds are moving, and that's another powerful tool for VR, for environmental experience. And it's really immersive in projects like this. So yeah, that's geolocation. Let's make it clear again, and let's make it, there is like shortcut for midnight. So you can see like night sky with stars and stuff. And in this case, we have like our integrated library, and there are lights, artificial lighting. So you can make really nice light scenes like we did, for example, over there in our living room. Okay, so there is another thing, and it's views. It's like presets, where you can preset like the views to save position, to save time. So I just created new one, it's over here. And when I click on like previous one, I will get there, and it remembers like the time and sun position. So you can switch between your preset scenes. So for example, let's get back to the terrace. Then before I was like playing with sun, so it's like in this position, and let's go back to living room like this, right? And let's turn off light, because I want to show you another thing. When you are playing with some spaces, you can sometimes use these things, for example, for just little things like shading of some things. But let's do one more thing. Let's turn on grid, you see, on the ground, and let's rotate this grid in different direction, this direction. It means when I create something, for example, from our library, it will be rotated to this direction. And if I create spaces, it will be rotated in this direction, exactly like I want it, so it will be like the facade, what I see. So let's create some cube, and very soon I will show you why. Let's delete faces. Delete this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I will leave only one face, this one, okay? And I will open context menu on it. I will select material. It tells me select, so I can select from our library. Project materials, there are like all the materials in the scene. You can create your new material, for example, like this, if you want just basic color, or you can import some texture maps. So here are texture maps what we have, and you can upload another. But what I will do is that I will just select material what I already have in the scene, and exactly like the black one what I have here, the metallic one. Nice, it's brushed aluminum in black color, and I will just drag and drop on this face what I created from the cube. Perfect. I will turn on this grid basically, and this like axis. I will delete this thing so it won't interfere with what I want to show you. And let's move with this wall like this. I turned on like axis, so I'm moving on the axis with the grid that I just moved. Okay, so I can move it like this, and I can move it to that direction. Perfect. So I just created some little quick sketch. Let's turn off grid. Let's go inside over here, and you can see shadows on the ground, right? Because we have exact geoposition. So if I have some shading here, and I will be closing the shading like this, how it will change the space, how it will feel, you know, how the immersion there will be. So with these realistic shadows and materials, so it looks really interesting to have some shading system like this. And again, you can send this to Revit. You know, you can, for example, divide these faces. So I can, for example, move it to create something like this. You can play with concept like that. You can divide, you can delete, you can copy this, you know, to have it like by like 3 modules by 2. So I created another module, and let's play with it separately, and let's copy this to the last part, and that one will be, for example, like this. And you know, it's just you are playing with Revit model, but you are modeling in VR, and you are trying to achieve something, and it's really cool. You can do it here. So for example, what I will do is, because it was created here, so I will turn off Revit, turn it off like all, and I can, you know, change the space of this living room. So I can, for example, make this ceiling a bit lower, but it didn't work, right? Because I can see it in virtual reality, it doesn't work very well. It's like too not ideal, let's say. So what I would do is that I would move it definitely back like I had before. Let's delete these elements. We played enough. And let's go up, and let's clean this place a bit, right? Because we have some rooftop garden here, some green roof, so let's clean this just very quickly. All the assets are animated if they are like greenery and optimized for VR. So you remember I rotated the grid, right? So it's in correct rotation like I wanted. I did it here, and I can create another one. So I will get myself a lower, and I will create another one like this. It's not necessary, but it actually works like floors, like working planes and floors. So you can see on my settings menu there is like number 2 because I created another floor, and there is like number 1 over there. So you can have multiple floors, or we call it like working planes basically. Perfect. So it's rotated here, and it will be built on the grid. And let's create space like this. Okay, that's fine. And there will be some opening. It can be like rooftop sauna or something like that. And you remember this switch to persona, right? So I will be able to see intersections. And that's important because when I switch this mode, the middle mode is there is proximity around you around 5 meters and it hides, the elements. In this case, it's polygons. In previous case, it was Revit. So when I'm moving and I have this persona on, I can see intersections. So I know where the space is, but I can see outside. So I can create window like this. I like the view. It's like between the middle of those flats. And let's create here because I can see in the distance there is like Vyšehrad. Very, very nice location. So I can create window here and I know that I will be able to see it, right? So let's switch persona to realistic one. And let's turn on the polygons again so I can see in full. Let's not forget it's collaborative platform and you can have up to 20 people in the scene. And we are talking with my colleague before, right? He was in the scene and he's over there on another building and is trying to achieve something. It looks like some, I don't know, maybe some rooftop greenhouse or something, let's say. So what you are creating here, Vladimir?
I tried to create some rooftop greenhouse.
Okay, so let's go here back to my sketch. And what I want to do is I will open settings menu, settings, and there is like user summon. Click on it and I can see Vladimir is with me in the scene and I can click on him and there will be teleport request for him. When he confirms, he will be teleported here. When you are editor, you need to confirm teleportation, so we won't interfere with you when you are creating something. So how do you like it? Let's move it a bit like this. Is it okay? Maybe let's go here to the garden and how it looks from this view, because you will be seeing that mostly from this position. So let's send you request again. Okay, so you teleported here. So what do you think? Is it okay? It's too big, too small?
I like it. It's not too big or small, just ideal.
It's okay, right? Nice. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so I will leave you to it. Have fun.
Your job is done here and you can leave. And I will be probably going back and I will be editing that again. We will be sending this sketch to Revit, but before we do that, I don't like this corner actually. Just look at this, it's not, it should be a bit different. So let's move it from the bird's eye like this. That's one option. And another option is that we will do undo and we will teleport there to one and do it from my position like this. So you can do it like both ways. I usually prefer to do some tasks like from bird view, some tasks from one-to-one perspective, but mostly from one-to-one perspective. So let's move this a bit like that, so it's a bit bigger, and that's much more like it. And now it's time to go to Revit again. In Revit, in our add-in, let's look it like this, and let's again click on Receive Sketch to Revit. It's processing and it's there. Okay, we can leave it pinned like that and we can take a look at our new sketch. So if I'm drafter, I can be anywhere. I don't need to be at the same computer. I can be in different room, different city. We are connected via cloud. And I just downloaded this. And now I know that I need to, create something here. Let's select again. I can see our sketch. It's really nice place. And now I'm focusing on parametric modeling, right? I will do it quickly. It's not precise, so it's just for the workshop. So let's do something quickly. And you can notice that in VR I was focusing more on like spaces, how they feel, and in Revit you are doing that parametric job, you know, the exact measures and exact positions, and you know, to do it like properly in dimensions and project based. So okay, so we created some walls and it's in position of the sketch almost exactly, so that was the purpose. Perfect. And let's take these walls, let's select, and you can see windows behind them, right? Because I created openings there. It's there and one on the left, and it's like the small windows. So what I would do is I would go to this floor, I would select this window because we already have them, and when I zoom you can see position where they are, so you can place them to the right position. It's Revit, so you can make them precisely where you want them on millimeters, but in VR we made it like 3D sketch. And we know there should be like the bigger opening, so let's take this window, let's go back and let's place it here because we had a nice opening, because in VR we could see that there is really nice view for Strahov Hill. Okay, so we created windows, walls, and we created basically the stuff we needed. So let's get back to virtual reality, but before we need to send this, right? So let's use another option. Before we sent sketch to Revit, now we will send Revit to VR. It will take a bit longer, just like maybe 3 times, but when we are back in virtual reality, it's via cloud, so it uploaded the correct Revit to my scene. And again, it doesn't need to be on one computer, it can be like 2 different computers, it can be, you know, 2 different persons, because you are collaborating on one scene. So what I would do is I would select these walls, what I created, context menu and layers. So I will select them and put them to the layer object 3D sketch, and I will hide this layer, right? Because I've had everything in this sketch. And now I will turn on Revit again, and sketch is hidden, but I didn't hide this, right? I didn't hide the roof because I wanted to play with that in VR again. And let's move the floor a bit up. So again, it's combination of Revit model and some 3D sketching. So I have the roof, I can extrude the roof, or something like this, or just move it, and you can copy like that. You can scale, so you can scale like this, and then you can again, for example, extrude. And I can see that there is one face missing right on the top, so let's use this poly tool and let's select this and this face, and it created the missing part. Perfect. And material, let's copy and put this material. It will be again the same green roof like we had. Let's hold teleport for 3 seconds. It will teleport me to 1-to-1, and let's select material and apply the material over here. And actually you can apply like this, and when you double click with your left controller or with your mouse button, you will select everything, and when you apply material, it will apply on all surfaces, right? So using materials on BIM model. So let's select our materials, and you can use it exactly like we did on our polygons. It's very same, it's basically the same. So you apply, drag and drop, and you can make it a bit bigger because it's too small, and you can change position on X, on Y, and you can play with it. Okay, so we have very realistic material on our BIM model and on our polygons, right? Let's move this a bit up so it's a bit thicker, and let's talk about materials. So let's select this floor, what we have, because it's like these cubes, very realistic, and we have height map, right? And it creates this 3D parallax effect you need to adjust on some materials to have it like really nice looking, and it creates that immersion, that material immersion, and you can make it on basically all your models what you import if you have height map. So let's get back to our project, and it's really nicely looking, right? Like we wanted, but there is one thing missing. So annotations, another important part of collaboration and our workflow. So I will select this drawing, I will make myself a bit bigger, and there is missing some door, right? How do I get there? So I want to get there from here, and I know that there is path here, like that, but it doesn't make much sense, right? To go like this all the way. So maybe let's create something here. What do you think? Okay, I like it. So undo these actions and let's draw it like more properly. There should be door like this, and you will be able to access this place from here, right? Like second doors. And of course, everything like that, even the 3D sketch, it will reflect in Revit. Okay, and that's not all from annotations. Drawing is one thing, but we have nodes, right? So let's select nodes, create new, and you have options. Trace, it will trace on the surface, like you see right now, or by hand. When you press trigger, you will place it. So I will do it by hand. I will place it somewhere here. And over here, I will edit. I will edit physically, so I will do it on my keyboard. So you can have headset and you can write on keyboard. So I will write like finish this, please, by Monday. Okay, that's it. And let's have it yellow or green, something like this. So, okay, let's close it like that. And we have notification here, right? Some message from asynchronous communication. When you click on this element, it will open and close, and you can hide them if they are too distracting for you. So let's open them again. And there is more of these nodes. So when I click on them, it will teleport me to those locations on desktop and on VR. So again, when I want to go back, I will click on this and I can see who wrote it and when and what the message is. When we are in Revit, in our add-in, there is another, folder. It's like notes, and when you click on get, it will load these messages. So let's click on show, and it will show out these elements. They have the same color, you just add it in virtual reality. And they have like this 3D shape, the Revit family, and it has the information like please finish by Monday over here. So you can communicate asynchronously and leave like messages, what to finish, what to improve, what to delete for all your colleagues and so on. And let's delete these 3D sketches because they are too distracting for our Revit workflow right now, right?
Okay, so we have BIM model here, right? Digital twin, because we created in Revit and sent it here to Wearrecho. And we also have layers. VR layers and Revit layers. So let's take a look at VR layers first. I will turn off this grid. And for example, furniture, I have everything in my layer which I created, so I can hide all furniture if I want to. And we have Revit layers, right? Because we are talking about Revit. And all 3D elements which are here, they have some category in Revit, and that category is reflected in VR, in our VR platform. So let's hide these nodes so they are not so big, and let's take a look at BIM layers. So for example, doors, it's small change, it's mostly inside, but something bigger, like windows. Or for example, walls. So let's hide walls. Okay, So all the walls are hidden, even the new one which we just created on the last floor, right? And it's really good for collisions. Checking collisions if you are a BIM modeler and you want to check if everything is like correctly modeled, correctly connected in like the visual way for presentation, and not only that. And for example, curtain panels, curtain wall, we can hide just like that. So basically every 3D element has some category, and it's represented here as well in layers, and you can hide it just like that. And let's talk about higher visual quality. So let's get inside. The quality is really nice, but if you have powerful computer, you can check settings, and in scene there is graphics. It's default by minimalistic, but when you click on it to high, it changes the scene.
The biggest changes are mostly on reflective surfaces and glossiness. So for example, the floor is nice and glossy, how it should be and what we set with materials. And for example, the window frame, it's also like metallic, so it's much more visible. And especially shadows in the corners, so you can see the change. Okay, so we have Revit inside of VR, right? We know that already, so we can display properties and stuff like that. So for example, let's say I want to connect this living room with kitchen a bit more. So what I will do on Revit element, I will select delete, I will delete, and I immediately see the change. I know how the space changed. So I can adjust the assets like that. So let's turn on Z axis. Let's move these elements like this, and let's rotate, because I can already work with that after I changed the Revit model in VR. So let's delete this clock. We don't need them anymore, and let's take a look. Okay, that looks good. There is no problem. And let's say there is nice sitting here on the right. Okay, like in the kitchen. And I would like to have this window over here. So let's do that. We don't need only to delete, but we can do other operations. This is another one. You can copy. So let's make ourselves a bit bigger. And let's take this window, select copy. And let's move this window over here like we wanted. When I start moving, everything is transparent, the parent of the family. So you can see where you are moving and how it will change. So we have it where we want it, right? We can see the table and chairs. It's really nice over there. Okay, so let's teleport back. Hold teleport for 3 seconds. It will teleport you to 1:1 scale. And take a look at our new window. It's exactly the same what we have here. The Revit family with this name, with these parameters. It's exactly the same. And let's check it from the inside. So let's go there. And I will be sitting here. I will be eating the oranges here on the table, and I will have this really nice view, right, from the table. But I can see that neighbors are looking here too much. So let's change that. Let's open our library, vegetation. Now let's plant some vegetation here. For example, like this tree over here. And here, and maybe some bush. But I can see already it's too big. So let's quickly change that, right? So let's select this scale, this one smaller, this one bigger. Okay, I like that. So let's check that again from the table. Really nice. That's much better. So let's jump to Revit. In Revit, we know we have nodes. We can send and receive mesh, and we also have changes. So let's click on changes here. And first we need to reload. It's processing, it's getting information, and it reloaded, right? So we can see that there are 2 changes, copy and delete, and we can see name of families or type of families and IDs. So after clicking on show, it will select the concrete element, what we changed in virtual reality.
and in this case it's the wall. So let's spin this so it won't move for this quick showcase. And let's select the window. Let's show me. You remember it was this window which we copied. It's this one. And what we do, we can confirm or either decline. So let's confirm. So we can see the window moved. And let's confirm, but first let's show the wall over here. It's this one. And let's confirm. And it's deleted, right? And let's send changes back to VR. In VR, I still have the tab on because I pinned it, but we will wait a little while because it's exporting, it's downloading data to our server and cloud, and from there it transfers here to VR, and you can see the changes. It processed fairly quickly, and when we select properties, it's exactly the same window like we copied before. So it's normal BIM family in Revit. So let's go to another part, and this part it will be like it's the hallway. Again, there is some door, we can display parameters. I know it's like glasses, so I want it full. So let's use another function, and it's replace. So let's replace this family for another family. Let's click on it. I have two options. One option is glassy, one is full. So let's select full. I want this full, right? And there would be a nice window over there, right? So let's go inside of this room because I know there is this window, which I would like to have it there. And it will be nice to do it from outside because I need to look at the access to the hallway. So I will go here, and maybe let's first delete this curtain wall over here or the shading so I can see the change already. And let's copy this window twice. So let's do it once. Let's move it over there to the hallway. And let's do it again. And let's move it to this window so we have more opening, because I can see there is nice sofa and it would be really cool to, you know, to have space like that. And let's go here. Here is the sofa I mentioned, but there is the wall, right? I don't like it. So let's select the wall and let's delete the wall. That's more like it. So I can see the change of the space already. If there is like more of us, everybody could see. And in Revit, I would just reload changes again. It says there are 5 total. That's correct. We did it 5 times. So let's show these elements. You can see in green it's copy, in red it's delete, and to change or move it's in blue. So let's spin this again and let's confirm the copy, and we can see. Let's do it again and we can see. Really nice. So we have all the windows like we wanted. Let's delete the shading and let's delete the wall inside. The last change is the door. Remember, from glass to full material. So let's confirm. And that's it. Perfect. So let's get to another part of the house. Okay. So in here, let's turn on grid. You remember we rotated the grid because everything we move when we have axis on, it rotates in the same direction. So let's set from world. Let's select 2 points like this, and grid will rotate. Okay. And I will select this third state. That's very important. This is like the custom global axis, and it's like how the grid is rotated, so everything will move in the same direction. I will delete this sofa, and I will move this wall over there, like that. And it was moving on the same axis like we had the grid a while ago. So when you make change like that on Revit element, you can discard changes if you are not satisfied with the result, just like how I did it right now. But in this case, I don't want to move it, I want to delete this wall.
like this. So I can see how the space changed, right? It's really big, and you can see it already in VR. Again, if there is like more people, you can have these changes and everybody will see. So let's move this window over here. And again, the parent is transparent, so you can see outside, you can see the changes, what you will see when you move this window. And virtual reality is perfect for this case. And in this case, let's replace this element for something else, right? Because there is nice terrace. So let's try, for example, this window, or maybe the smaller one. So maybe this one. This one is perfect, right? Because it has door, and I can go and, you know, go to the terrace instead of this small window. And that's really nice. So I like it. And I don't need this small shading in here. So we will delete in Revit. Or delete it here. That will be better. Because the person in Revit, it could be someone else, and he just needs to reload changes, and he can just delete the elements what you showed them to delete. Again, it doesn't need to be one person. It can be like, you know, collaboration and more persons working on this project at the same time, at the same moment. So I confirm the changes. Let's spin it again, and let's show this wall. And let's decline because, you know, it's structural wall, so we need it. We cannot delete. Let's show me what I wanted to delete here. It's like this element, so let's confirm. And let's show me this element, what I want to replace. It's this window. Okay. You see, it's this window, and I will confirm. It says that something is joined here or some issue, so let's just confirm, and you can see like how it changed. I have my window what I wanted to have. So let's unpin and let's send back to VR, to our session. So in VR, just wait a little bit. It takes a few seconds and it's over here and it's reloaded. Nice. So I have the change that I wanted. So I have my little door here. I can see the space, how it changed. It's really nice. The wall stays, the windows moved. And maybe we will want some more window here or some curtain wall or something. So let's create node. We already know nodes, right? So let's move it here. And let's say something here that we want to have this node red because it's important for us. Again, I will select like the physical input. It's like for me faster to write on physical keyboard in this case. So let's write maybe a new window. Okay. And another person can check this in Revit or in VR. It's always there and it will always get you there. So let's get to another room. Okay. So let's go inside and there is room and there is like another small room here, right? But I don't like it here. So let's delete the walls. And again, if you are not satisfied, you can change and revert back. You can still display BIM properties like that. So if I revert back, it's like that. But I really want to delete it, right? So let's delete. Let's go here. We don't need these doors because we just deleted. And let's move these doors just a bit to the right. Just like this. So we want to enter from this side, not over there. Okay. And the last change I would like to do, it will be like on the window over there. So let's get to it. Let's turn on transparency on Revit so I can see that there is nice villas.
So there is entrance, and I would like to see, you know, to this direction. The window is too small for this room. Okay, so let's turn on Revit visibility again. So I know there is like some entrance, and I would like to have better window here. So let's select this window. It says options. These options, they are in Revit, the same. It transferred with Revit here too. So I want something like this, maybe something like this. I think it's too big, so let's go back to the smaller one. So maybe something like this. Let's go to the window and let's see what we will see from the window, right? So that's much better. Let's try the options again to make sure. And this is too big, you see. So when I make it like this, it's like nice. It's nicer. So in Revit, we have changes again, and let's go to the side floor plan for the change. Let's spin this because it's working not only in 3D, it's of course in like floor plans. So you can select in floor plans and show elements. So these are the walls we wanted to delete, doors and stuff like that. And we wanted to replace this small window for the bigger one, right? So let's confirm all the changes. Let's move a bit so you can see like how we delete the wall. Just click, click, click. So architects, they can change the space in VR on BIM elements, send them to civil engineers and drafters to Revit, and they can either confirm or, you know, decline if it's like very structural stuff which shouldn't be changed. And everything can be done in like the same time, in the same session. You can be with clients in some session and just send changes to Revit and from Revit to session. So let's send that to VR last time. And in VR we still have the tab, right? So we are waiting, it's uploading, downloading, it's processing, and it takes just a little while. I left the table so you can see the whole process, how fast it is, and it's here, right? So we have window like we changed that, and the room, how we changed that. Really nice. So all the walls are away, the door is moved, and we can put some, you know, furniture and play with the space again. So like that. I left the table on purpose. Oh, sorry, tab on purpose. So you can see, you can pin it like this, so it will always be on top. And let's go to the last part, to last place when we will change Revit. And it's over here because sometimes some changes are faster in VR rather than in Revit, and especially this one. So let's turn on Z-axis and let's move floor on Z-axis like this. Okay, so it's moving like this, and you just take it and just move it up. And in Revit we have already all these changes, and let's confirm all of them, and they will move on the axis. And it was much faster to do it in the platform rather than in Revit, like all this conceptual stuff and some extras in the end. Okay, so we know we have some teleport, right? How to move. And we are moving also like continuously, and there is stuff like spectator function. It will turn off all the UI elements to change and edit, but you still have like the scene control like I'm doing right now. But what it does also is that you are walking on the surface in this mode. So let's walk. Either physically or continuous movement in VR, so you are walking like this. And you can go on the stairs, on the curved surfaces and stuff like that. And when you are over the edge, you just fall very slowly, like this, you see. And another stuff, there is like settings, and you can go to movement.
And you can reset your position to 0, or you can change the speed of walking, right? So I have it on 2. And easy mode over here. You can select and you can turn on easy mode. And you have always like spectator on, and you have no editing options and no scene options. So basically you don't need your left controller, you just need the right controller. You can move, you can teleport, you can display guides like how to control movement. Because this mode is for example, lead architects or for your clients. And you can display the views. You remember we showed you the views, so you can just click on it and it will teleport you to the position and time will change. So we made this scene before, remember? And when we click on this, we will go like to the default scene what we prepared. So it's here. And the last part is desktop mode. So basically everything we did in VR is on desktop too. We focus more on VR and everything is like made for VR intuitive modeling and working in VR, but basically everything is in desktop too. So for example, layers, Revit layers, so you can, if you don't have VR headset at the moment, so you can just go through the BIM model in this highly realistic environment. We are focusing on live scene basically, so not like static renders, but it's really lively, so that's why trees are animated, the sky is dynamic, so we believe this is the future of AEC with collaboration and concept design. And it goes same for the time and for the views and stuff like that. So, and of course for nodes. Remember we created some nodes, maybe a new window. You click on it and it will open. You click on it, it will teleport you to the position, just like this, and just like this. So, thank you very much for your time today and see you next time.